Hi! This week's DIY was inspired by this image here and this image, and I got them off of Pinterest, and I came up with this right here. And this is my version of a waterless fountain, fire and ice, and it's also a Zen Garden. And most of these materials are from the Dollar Tree. The fairy lights are not. And I don't know if anything else isn't. The foam board that I use isn't from the Dollar Tree. But all the other ingredients, all the other supplies are from the Dollar Tree. So these are some of the supplies you will be needing for this DIY. Acrylic blue paint. I have some of that glow in the dark gel, some Mod Podge, and that's what I use at the beginning. I also sprinkled the glass with a little bit of silver glitter, and the silver glitter is from Walmart, and it's very fine. 3 packs of these tea light flickering candles, 2 packs of the fairy lights from Walmart, some of that Gorilla Glue from Walmart, 2 of these word frames from the Dollar Tree, a hot glue gun and glue sticks. I used 2 packs of these sea glass, I think they're called. And here I took a empty flower pot, and I filled it up with cold water, and I'm just rinsing them out with some mild dishwashing liquid. Now I'm putting them to dry on top some paper towels and newspaper, and then I am here taking the 3 frames, taking them apart because I want to use the glass in the 3 frames. And here I'm just putting those little clips that hold the glass on the frame. I'm pulling them down and I'm pulling them off. And I'm glad that I did this part, even though I wasn't thinking of using the frames. But I wound up using them. So yeah, prep your frames. Remove those little metal things and spray paint your frames any color you want. If you want to leave them black, that's fine. I spray painted all of my items one color. Here I took the insert of the one frame and I'm folding it so that I have straight lines. And then I'm going to use that insert and I'm folding it like an accordion. I'm taking it, as you can see there, I'm putting my glass on top. Then I am going to take some masking tape, which I also purchased from the Dollar Tree. And I had already cut out strips. And now where those lines from that insert that I folded, I see the lines where they're at. And that's where I'm placing the masking tape. As you can see there, those little spaces where the masking tape isn't on, when I spray paint the glass, the spray is going to go on those lines. And here I am spray painting it, making sure that I spray paint the side that the masking tape is on. And just lightly spray paint it because it's little lines, and mostly what's going to grab the paint is the masking tape. So now I'm just pulling the masking tape off. I covered the flickering part of the tea light candles before painting them. Here I am just tracing the frames that I purchased from the Dollar Tree that have the words on them. And I am just tracing it on a construction type foam board. It's not the ones that you get from the Dollar Tree. You could purchase these at Home Depot or Lowe's. I purchased mine at a flea market for 99 cents, but I do know that the bigger department stores have them also. Here, as you can see, I am going to be layering those pieces of foam board in between the picture frames. And as you can see there, that's how they're going to go. Now I'm taking that bigger piece of foam board. I am holding it there and I'm going to trace because I have to cut the sides for this stand for the fountain and for that other frame that is going to go in the middle. I'm cutting out 2 of those pieces, 1 for each side, that is going to hold all 4 of those 4 pieces that I already cut. And here I'm just showing you how I did it. I traced with a pencil as you saw before. Now I'm taking my utility knife, holding that metal ruler down very firmly, and I am going to go over with the utility knife on that line until I know that it reached the bottom. Now, if you don't want your surface to get scratched up, please cover it up with something. And then once I feel reaches the bottom, I just snap it off. Here, I'm going to use that one piece that I already traced and cut out to be my guide for the second piece. Once you have your 2 side pieces cut out, you should have 2 pieces that are exactly the same size. Now, using that Gorilla Glue, I am going to glue 2 of the 4 pieces together. And I'm going to do this with all 4 pieces, and it's going to give me 2. The base for the bottom and the base that's going to hold those 2 frames sandwiched in between. I am also using the hot glue gun for a quick hold. Here I am using the Gorilla Hot Glue Gun to hold the fairy lights in place. And I'm only going to use dabs. I'm going to glue the fairy lights on the glass itself, on the other side of where I spray painted those silver lines. Then on the side where I am hot gluing the fairy lights, that's the side that I had used the mixture of Mod Podge and the drop of blue paint, and then I sprinkled it lightly with some glitter. But this, you can continue with the DIY with your glass looking blue. That's what I was going for. However, at a certain point up ahead, you will see that an obstacle just happened. And so I had to finish this DIY going with a plan B. But to achieve that light blue color, that's all I did. I just made a mixture of Mod Podge, glossy Mod Podge, and a drop or 2 of apple barrel acrylic paint from Walmart, and it gave me that nice color. And this is how it looks once I hot glued the fairy lights on the frames. And I was going to use 3 glass. One with the fairy lights on that side, the other one with the fairy lights on the other side. And then there was going to be that glass in the middle that was going to be wrapped up, as you can see here, with cling wrap. And the cling wrap, besides the Mod Podge on the glass, gives it a water effect. I know this because I make dioramas or dollramas, whatever you want to call them, for my Barbie dolls to take pictures. I have a Facebook channel that I create backgrounds for the Barbies. And if you want to give something the appearance of water, you use cling wrap, or you can use the Mod Podge, and I was going to use both. But at one point, one of the glass broke, and this didn't happen with the blue glass. So what happens is the Mod Podge dries, but it dries like in kind of like what the cling wrap is, and you can pull it out. But because I had strung the fairy lights on one side of the one frame and then on the other side of the other frame, it just, once the one frame broke, that was it. So I had to go with a plan B. And as you can see here, I have 3 glass that I had prepped, and that middle one was just gonna have the cling wrap on it, and it was going to give the other 2 the effect of water, like 3D effect, because I'm not using water in this DIY, but I want it to look like it's a fountain. So as you can see here, it was going to give it that 3D effect, the lights being glued on one side of the frame while being glued on the other frame. So, but it didn't work out like that. And I left this in here because it took me a while, and this DIY was supposed to have been posted on, I think, Friday, but then when everything happened, I got discouraged, and but this is how it was going to look. And I wasn't going to use the frames. I was just going to leave them like that and just try and put like a strip of that thin tape that you buy from Walmart, not the duct tape, but the thinner one. And that's what I was going to do. And as you can see, it would look nice, but it didn't happen. So I had to go with plan B. And using that clamp right there to hold the frames together, I think that's what did it. So instead of using the clamp, don't use the clamp. Use something else. But as you can see there, everything went downhill for a minute. Here I'm taking those pieces of foam board that I cut out, and I am going to start putting my stand together. And I am taking one piece of foam board first, then I'm putting a frame on top, then I'm taking the other piece of foam board, then I'm putting the other frame on top. And now right there, as you can see on the bottom of the sides, where the foam board would meet the other foam board, that's the only spots that I am going to put some of this Gorilla Glue. And I didn't use my hot glue gun, and I should have, because the hot glue gun helps for video purposes and it helps it stay in place. This part here took me longer to do because I only used the Gorilla, not the Gorilla Hot Glue, but the other Gorilla Glue. And so when you're doing this, if you're pressed for time, use a little bit of hot glue with the combination of this glue. This glue is good. To me, it's almost the same as E6000, but this is the only project that I used it on so far. And it does need drying time. It's that kind of glue. It needs maybe like it's not instant glue, but it does need some drying time. So here, as you can see, I can remove that top frame, and this is where plan B comes in. I'm going to use the picture frames after all, because my idea of not using any picture frames and using 3 glass glued together with the fairy lights and the Mod Podge with all that other good stuff came to a halt when the glass broke. So I have 2 glasses left, and I have to make the best of that. So for that reason, we're going to continue our DIY with the frame and using 2 glasses. And here I put the 2 packs of fairy lights on one of the glass, and I had already done the strips of masking tape, and I had already spray painted it because I have one front and one back. So I put all the fairy lights on one glass, and then I put the frame on that glass. And now here I am using a broken frame from when I did the lanterns. I'm using that broken frame pieces to make a stand for the frames that are going to be holding the glass. And I want those word frames to move in and out. I want this to be functional because I just want to. You don't have to make it functional, but I want to. Because if I want to change the frame, or I might want to use this for something else, I might want to remove the words from the frames. I didn't remove the words from the frames because one said dream and the other one said relax. I'm taking that broken picture frame, and as you can see there, I made these little grooves with this tool here, a soldering tool, a hot knife, and I'm making these little grooves right there so that they hold like a puzzle type right there to the other pieces that I already glued onto the edge of those side pieces of the frame, of the stand. And I'm just cutting out that extra melted piece, and I make sure that both pieces are the same size and that the frame fits in there before I glue anything. I have to make sure that the frame fits there. Here I am just taking some blocks that I purchased from the toy section at the Dollar Tree. I painted them and now I'm gluing them under there. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to be able to hide those battery packs. And I thought that I would be able to hide the battery packs like inside the top picture frame, but the battery pack is a little too thick, so it wasn't going to fit. So I came up with this idea, but as you can see here, those frames slide in and out of that stand that I made for them. And here I'm just gluing those sides right there, as I showed you, the black sides on each of the sides. That's the smaller parts of the picture frame. Right there on those sides is where I am gluing the longer sides that are going to hold the picture frame in place. And I did use a silver marker to know where I was going to hot glue those pieces right there. So when you see me holding the frame, that's what I was doing. I don't know where the clip went. And as you can see there, I'm making sure that the glue that I just used doesn't make that frame come. See right there, there's enough room for it to move. But that's what I wanted. You don't have to do that. Here, as you can see, I'm measuring again to make sure where that other back piece I'm going to be gluing it at. And all of this I am doing while making sure that those pieces that I am gluing do not become glued to the frame so that the frame could still move in and out. Here I am gluing the other picture frame. It was 3 picture frames. I'm only using 2 picture frames and 2 glass because one of the glass broke. So instead I came with plan B, and this is plan B right here. This is how I'm going to glue those picture frames onto that base. And I'm putting it in the middle because I want each side of those word frames to hold candles and sea glass. I'm using cling wrap to give the glass the water effect that I was going for. And I'm using this because I know I've used it before in my dolls DIYs, and cling wrap or Mod Podge give clear surfaces that water effect that you might want to see but not really feel. So for that reason, I know that I could use cling wrap, and I use cling wrap and I cut pieces and I crunched them up a little bit. I kind of like gave it like an accordion type texture, not folding it too much. I just wanted it to look like it was flowing water going downward. You can use, this is how it would look. You can use the hot glue gun to go around it and hold it in place. I didn't want to because I don't like how the hot glue looks. Here I'm using just regular Elmer's glue with some glitter to cover up those unfinished areas where the pieces of foam meet with the glue, and that's what I'm going to use on both sides to cover all those imperfections up. Here I'm sliding that frame in there, and I am going to glue now those picture frames with the fairy lights in between those two pieces of frame that I glued there to hold it in place. And those two pieces that I glued on that picture frame or on the base of the picture frame is what's going to hold those two picture frames that are holding the fairy lights with that water effect. That's what's going to hold it steady in place. Now, as I'm holding it with one hand so that the hot glue dries, I am placing the sea glass and those tea light candles on both sides of those frames. As you can see, the frames are holding perfectly fine on their own. Here I am spreading that sand that I bought from the Dollar Tree on the bottom frame, and that's going to be the Zen Garden. I have these little Zen Garden tools from a fountain that I bought. And I know that everybody doesn't have these, but you can create your own little tools for your Zen Garden by using some of these dowels that I purchased from Walmart. And the pack was only 99 cents or 98 cents. And a lot of them come in the pack. So here, if you follow these steps, you can easily make your own. I used two dowels, and one was for the handle and the other one was the little stick that comes across, and then that same stick I used to create the 5 little raking things that you put on that other stick. And after I cut them with a pair of dog nail clippers that I purchased from the Dollar Tree, I am taking a nail file and I am sanding the ends so that they don't look like I just cut them out. And now I'm using the hot glue gun to put everything together to look like the piece that's right there next to my hand. And it's very easy to do. And here is my Fire and Ice Waterless Fountain slash Zen Garden. And as you can see, when you are not using the Zen Garden, which is sand, and you use these little tools to do little patterns, and it is kind of relaxing sometimes. When you're not using that, if you have children, you can just hide it back in its place, and you can pull it out on either side of the stand. That top portion frame also can be slided out. And as you can see here, you will need 2 packs of the fairy lights from Walmart. And 30 lights come in each pack. So I hope you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. I really do appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys for the comments that you guys leave me of encouragement. And if you haven't, like I said before, please do subscribe. And thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. Bye. Shout out to Mirandah. Thank you, Mirandah, for your last DIY, which is what inspired me to use the pieces of the broken frame that I have from my previous DIY, which is the reason why you used it in your DIY. So thank you, Mirandah. You're the best.